Hello folks, Templar here, and welcome to another Let's Talk. This is part 3 of a series of GW games, and today we'll be talking about the 41st Millennium 40k. Now, you might not know this, but my name, Black Templar, actually comes from this franchise as part of one of the Space Marine factions, but that's another story for another time. Now, as far as the 41st Millennium goes, it is one of the most productive and most well-liked products in the GW range. Now, as far as, the whole premises of the Warhammer universe, it is basically a future of conflict and war. There's no such thing as peace. You have different factions such like the Eldar, the Orcs, Chaos, Tyranids, and other factions vying for dominance. And for humanity, it stands on the verge of extinction or conquest. Whatever the case may be, the factions are fighting for pure dominance. Now, 40k games have had a long and very good history, starting with Space Hulk for the Amoeba and the PC back in 1993. Now, Space Hulk is basically, you run with a team of Terminators going into a spaceship, which what is a Space Hulk is a spaceship that has been abandoned due to constant battle or lost in the warp and the crew died. Your job as a Terminator team to go in and reclaim the relics from the Gene Stealers, who are the Terminator faction who hide in there to drop their spores and everything on unexpected planets and devour them. Now, the whole premises of Space Hulk is when you go through the missions, each missions will have a specific detail and a lot of managing your squads, managing your teams, your weapons is very crucial, and picking positions where your men will be is vital, because if you make a mistake, you will be horrifically punished. Now, this game did get a reboot recently with the new Space Hulk on Steam, that's right on now, and it's like the same as the old board game, which I kind of like, and it's kind of good, but it is a bit, the luck thing and the dicing, it really does leave a lot to be desired. But all in all, it's a good tactical game. It's really tailored, for the old classic people who love that kind of game, and I suggest if you like that kind of game, I suggest you go get it. It's not a bad game. Next on the list, we have Chaos Gate and Rites of War. Now, Chaos Gate follows the Ultramarines against their war against the forces of Chaos, which is Lord Zimmerin, who is a leader of the Chaos faction, has started a crusade. You follow as a team of Ultramarines to try and stop him from his conquest of a certain galaxy. Now, that's easier said than done, because in this game, it's a turn-based game, and this is one of these games where if you make a mistake, you will be punished, and punished severely. And then we have Rites of War. Rites of War follows the Eldar, who are on a craft world trying to reclaim their colony. But however, during their battle with the Imperium, they run into a more dangerous foe, the Tyranid. And in this game, you can play either as the Tyranids, the Eldar, or the Imperium. Now, the Imperium will have 3 factions for you to choose from, which is the Red Scorpions, a chapter you don't normally hear about these days, the Imperial Guard, and the Sisters of Battle, another faction you don't hear much in games as well. And next we have the Fire Warrior. Now, this was a first-person shooter from GW, which was made for the PS2 and PC, and to be honest, the Fire Warrior game to me, it just didn't feel right, because the fact that a Fire Warrior could fire a bolter, which you don't know the lore of the bolter, there's maybe this heavy gun that if you're not augmented to carry it or very strong, it's going to blow your freaking hand off. And the fact that a Tau Fire Warrior, who in the game's term is not that very strong, able to lift it and fire it is beyond me, but hey, game logic for you. But in overall, the Fire Warrior game, in my view, it wasn't its best moment, but it was an okay game, but it wasn't great. It's one I would say, take it with a pinch of salt and see how you feel. Next, we have the Dawn of War series. Now, the Dawn of War series is GW's most crowning achievement in RTS. I mean, this game literally sets the standard for most GW games. Now, as the premises of the Dawn of War series goes, you follow the Blood Ravens as they cross the galaxy trying to defeat the forces of Chaos, Orcs, Eldar, and other forces of evil. Now, the Dawn of War Series 1 was like a breakthrough. It showed how, you could make a good franchise like GW cross over to the RTS world properly, and it worked. But I think the game's truest crown achievement was the Dark Crusade, where you had multiple factions which you could play as. You could play as the Space Marines, the Eldar, the Necrons, the Chaos Orcs. It really gives you a wide perspective of each faction, what they're buying for and why are they fighting for, so it really gives off a lot of different paths and stories. And then we have, which I think was the low point in the first series of the Dawn of War series, which was Soulstorm. Now, don't get me wrong, Soulstorm had added 2 new races, the Sisters of Battle and the Dark Elder, but I think the add of some vehicles like Baneblades and Flight, and some of the story kind of was a bit ropey, really wasn't at its best. But overall, the game series for the first lot was pretty good and well worth playing. And at the moment it's still on Steam. I would recommend, if you're an RTS fan, I recommend you get it, because in this game you can play giant armies and cause absolute mayhem. It's a fun, good game to play. And then we have Dawn of War 2, which was meant to be the sequel to this story arc of the Dawn of War series, but unfortunately it didn't follow the RTS route. It followed the squad-based route, where you command a small contingent squad of Blood Ravens as you venture through your own homeworlds and find out that your chapter is horrifically corrupt, the Tyranids have come to claim your homeworlds, and also the Orcs are there to cause freaking chaos. And as the whole story goes between the three games, which was Dawn of War 2, Retribution, which was the last one, and Chaos Rising, which was the second. I know I got them mixed up, my apologies. But when you went through them, it kind of, well, felt the story was a bit, well, let's put it this way. The first game had a lot of things for you to do, but story-wise, very short. While on the other side, the Chaos Rising, you had a lot of story, but the gameplay, you didn't have much. You just followed the gameplay and that was it. The third one, even though you had different factions vying for the final outcome of the whole system, how it all ended, it was kind of, to a certain degree a bit pointless on certain areas, like, you really, the only factions you wanted to look at was Chaos and the Blood Ravens. The others were just, well, just meaningless fodder. And also, I feel that, well, the multiplayer side of it was decent. It was good for what it was, but it really was a bit of a strain on some systems, because it was, at the time, it was advanced for its time. But overall, the Dawn of War 2 series was not the best, but it was okay for what it was. And last but not least, we have the Space Marine. Now, Space Marine was the last game made by THQ before their inevitable bankruptcy. At this game, you follow Captain Titus of the Ultramarines as he goes to the planet of a Forge World to protect the Imperial Titan. Now, for those who don't know what Imperial Titan is, it's a gigantic war machine of death, a towering monstrosity. And as you progress into this story, find of the Orcs, you realize that a sinister group is behind this, causing all the chaos, causing mayhem. Of course, it's Chaos, guys. Who else would it be? And you are there to try and stop it. But at the end of the game, it shows that Captain Titus is being, court-martialed for being part of the forces of Chaos, because he was in between the Chaos energies, didn't die or didn't corrupt, and nobody knows why. Now, I thought the whole game was good. It was decent for what it was, with the good kill animations and the whole array of weapons and meaning behind it. But however, I feel this game was one of these games that could have benefited from a bit of co-op and a bit of, tweaking there, here and there. But as far as the multiplayer side goes, it was clunky, it was bad, and it wasn't that good. And also, the only good thing was when you could team up 4 of your friends to play Chaos mode, which was you versus like a hordes of Chaos and demons and orcs, which was pretty good. It was fun, but that was always its good point. And the last game that Vigil and THQ were working on was the Dark Millennium RPG MMO game, which unfortunately isn't either development hell or has not been made, because we don't know what's happened after when both companies went bankrupt. Nobody knows if it's been taken up or it's pretty much finished. We don't know. And now we have the newest game that's being made, called Warhammer Eternal Crusade. Now this game, by the looks of it, now this is no development mind for the PC at the moment, but they have said that they might bring to console, is that you can choose one of 4 factions, which is the Orcs, the Eldar, the Marines, and Chaos. Yeah, the usual 4 factions. And you can choose any one of these factions to represent into battle against other factions and players, and face off against a common threat in the single player, which is the Tyranids. Always a Tyranids, mind you. So they're kind of interesting, and the fact that they're adding, sub-factions to each of the main forces, which is a kind of an interesting, intriguing way of doing things. I am interested to see how this goes, so I'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, and when more does show up, I'll have more interest into it. And now my final thoughts on this whole thing. Now, the GW games do have a long history, and I think with, Blood Bowl and this Eternal Crusade look like they're going to do well, because a lot of people love 40k, and Blood Bowl's got a decent following. However, for Mordheim, not sure. We'll have to see how that plays, but if it does well, it'll be a good thing to see, and hopefully see Necromunda, get made. And also, with the fact as well that GW is always been about big armies, I am hoping to high hell that Creative Assembly, if they do have the rights to this, is make a Total War style Warhammer and 40k where we can play massive armies, have big ass battles. I would love to see it, and if they do it, I would love to play it. Anyway folks, that's my thoughts on the GW series. I hope this was insightful and enlightening. Anyway folks, catch you on the next Let's Talk. This is Black Terror signing off, and I hope you have a good one. Bye!